All right, so I still can't trust Unity, and I'm not going to, and I don't recommend other people do. And I'm going to give you some specific reasons why. Unity did walk back a huge amount. So first off, they also said that they're going to put a cap on this so that the runtime fee will not be over 5% of your revenue. Good. That's excellent. I think that's a great thing that they needed to do just to kind of fix a lot of the issues with the pricing models. However, so free to play games, if you do free to play and you post your game out there, your revenue is going to be much lower. So it actually is not going to harm you. 5%. You understand that at this point going in. Plus, it's not going to take effect except for games that are produced from Unity, from the next LTS version. So the next LTS version for 2024, when that gets released, which will be LTS 2023, that's that is a good change. So basically, you're not getting included or you're not getting forced into this unless you specifically release something under that editor. Okay, now at the same time, that means you're still paying the exact same amount for the engine, whether or not you can or want to use these latest versions. So why would you pay for more? Why would you pay more when you're using less of what they're giving? I don't trust that, but there's worse reasons for why I don't support them. One of the biggest problems that I saw is the fact that they tried to charge people for work that they had already done, games they had already released, and they were making all of this parts of what they were going to get, this fee was going to affect. So if they fully released a game that was already out there, they understood the pricing model, everything was done, Unity changed that. Now, the thing is they walked that back. They walked it back by saying, okay, from this version on, you're going to have that, and it's a version we haven't released yet. Now, some people are already producing and releasing content from within that version because you can get what is effectively going to be the LTS version right now. It's just not LTS yet. Or, well, actually, the 2023... Yeah, because they're in the 2024. So you can get access to those branches, I believe. Anyway... So I can't trust them that they're not going to come up with some other way to do something like this. Because, I mean, honestly, it should have been obvious. In fact, people inside the company were raising red flags and fighting back on this, but still the management was like, nope, we're going to do this our way. We're going to do this our way, and the users are just going to have to deal with it. And we believe that they will. We believe that they will because they're ingrained in us. We're practically a utility company. They have to use us. And there's a truth to that, which is a horrible thing for a company that's looking at, oh, well, we can take all of our existing customers and force them to have to pay us more. Because that was their mentality going into this. We could force people to pay us more because they won't have a choice. It wasn't an option of moving forward. It was an option. That was something where everything was going back. And there's a worse thing. It's a perpetual license. So while the IDE, the editor, getting the pro version of the editor, that was a subscription. That was a subscription. So if you stopped developing more content, you could just stop paying for your license. I mean, after your 12 months was up. So you stop paying for your license and it's done. All of your required payments to them are over. But that's not the case anymore. You're joining a perpetual license that will just go on for the duration of your product or eventual rebirth of your product. Sometimes you have older video games that get re-released. There was still a Unity build. And if people are taking a re-released version or whatever, then Unity's still going to get their cut. Now, that's not as bad, but the thing is, Unity very clearly is willing to try to get people to pay for things that they never agreed to in the first place. That is the principle that is horrible. That's like all the cell phone services that when you would order the cell phone service, it's like, yeah, this is going to be $70 a month. That's great. And then, oh yes, but we do have 12 different fees that bring it up to $150 that are not associated with taxes or government specific things. Those are fees that everybody gets that are always the same. We just call them fees instead of actually telling you the prices. That is the kind of thing that makes cell phone companies completely untrustworthy. And one of the reasons why there are plenty of places I will not use. Now, I'm out in Australia now, and I don't really know the local services and customs for that. But yeah, that was a common thing in the US. Okay, so I can't trust them because I still don't know what they're going to charge me. I didn't hear them in any of the fireside chat stuff or their article. Maybe I missed something, but I didn't hear them say that they're going to walk back their ability to attempt to charge us for things that are part of an agreement that we already had, that had no associated charge like that. So I haven't heard anything like that. And so everyone who upgrades to the 2023 LTS version when it comes out, you're suddenly going to lock yourself into a perpetual license that will go on for the duration of your product, for every time that it's being released or being installed on like a new customer, especially like what happens if you just say, okay, well, this is public now. If your company is still making money but not on that game, you can still be charged for that game. Because I didn't see anything in it where it specifies revenue as specifically from that game. Maybe it's in there, but their licensing costs for picking up the actual pro license isn't geared towards that. If your company makes over $1 million, even if it has nothing to do with Unity, and one of the developers wants to experiment with the idea of actually just developing something that they would release as a free tool, they still have to get the pro license because the company that they're working on it with is $1 million plus. It doesn't need to be associated with the product. So unless I see something that very specifically spells out that it is only for revenue related directly to that product, I would imagine is going to relate to all of your products. So the fact that you made money on anything else, now Unity is going to charge you for. So if all of the game engines started picking that up and you had multiple game engines because you transferred away, then you're going to have to pay service fees from all of these different places for products that they had nothing to do with. That's still in there. And the fact that they can do backtracking on the pricing and try to force their customers to pay for things that they never agreed to, I will never be able to trust that. I don't care who it is. If it's the water company out here, I'll come up with some other way to get water to the house. Now, the thing is that we know water prices change. We know that they're going to fluctuate, but we also know that that's generally government restricted, utility type, that there are going to be protections in place to prevent the water companies from just saying, oh yeah, well, we're going to triple the price today because we want to. And we're going to start charging you per gallon that you've already used for the previous years. So the fact that you've had 1 million gallons over the past 5 years, or I don't know what a reasonable gallon number is, we're going to charge you 10 cents for each one of those. And you'll just have to pay because, well, we control the terms of service and we implemented a clause that allows us to change prices for things that you've already agreed to under a different pricing agreement. I don't understand why people would actually go along with that, why it would be reasonable. I think it's still a horrendous choice. I think that Unity will just do this stuff again. They'll just try to find ways to make it less noticeable until basically you're over your head. But by that point, these things have already been in play. So maybe they start with something where it's a 1% fee that's associated onto everything, but unless you catch the fine print, it's 1% tacked on every 3 months. So you end up with 2% after a quarter, and then 3% after another quarter. And by the time that you realize how it works, you're ending up paying like 15% on everything, and you realize there's no going back. It's eventually going to get over 100% to take all the money of all their clients. Um, it doesn't work. I mean, when you're talking about a company that already has millions of dollars and they're not Unity focused, then yeah, they can charge them for every cent of revenue that they earned, 100%. They could go beyond that, and those places could afford it. And if the legal agreement somehow allows them and is legally binding, yeah, you're agreeing to allow your employees to make decisions that can affect what you're going to be charged in ways that you just don't know. Not usable. All right. So for me, I'm working. I took a job with Triple Dot. I'll be helping to lead a studio, but it's or that runs a couple other game studios for getting certain games done. Now, their opinions do not match mine. I do not know or will not release what kind of sentiment they have without their express permission. So everything that's on this channel will not be associated with Triple Dot. But I just want to make clear that I still do, or I am starting to work for another Unity development company that uses their product and will likely continue to use their product. So like I said before, I will support Unity developers. I think that that's entirely reasonable. People will still use this. People will still have to use this. I just don't find it trustable. Now, they also are well aware of my current stance on Unity, and they still hired me despite that. All right, so let's see. With that in mind, I am personally moving over to Unreal for now. Now, several people have pointed out all sorts of different great engines that I think are awesome, like Godot. And they asked questions like, are there particular reasons why I'm moving over to another corporate license versus going to an open source? And here's the thing: when I looked at I need to make sure that I'll still stand out on the job market. I don't want to lose that. So I'm studying things that I believe have a higher job opening. So Unreal, far more common in paying jobs than I've seen for Godot. Now, that could change, and that could also be that, I don't typically look at that information, and the few times that I have, it just has not stood out. Unreal has been the one that I've seen standing out. I want to make sure I have that. However, after I have that, after I've released a game on it, the Vigilante Racer, I am planning to switch over to Godot because honestly, I would love to get away from the corporate licensing and switch over to open source. I think that would be a far better way to do this, and I'll be able to trust it a lot more. And of course, a lot of the things that I do may actually support and help build up the engine, provide better tooling, provide more things that as I release things, they may potentially get incorporated into the main engine. That would be awesome. And I would love to have that support, or to provide that support. Okay, so that's the stuff that's going on right now. I don't recommend Unity. I am going to Unreal and despite the corporate licensing, I will be doing that temporarily. And so I do just want to call that out, that I will be supporting that for a little while. Okay, is that all the key updates? I think so. All right, yeah, I'll talk to you later.